Morgen hier aus Washington DC. Willkommen bei unserem Webinar zum Thema Weltbank Procurement. Ich darf mich kurz vorstellen. Mein Name ist Irene Lack-Hageneder. Ich bin die Wirtschaftsdelegierte hier am Außenwirtschaftscenter Washington. Und wir hier am Außenwirtschaftscenter Washington betreuen das Thema IFIs, wie man abgekürzt sagt, internationale Finanzinstitutionen und die ganz konkret die in Washington ansässigen internationalen Finanzinstitutionen. Ich habe hier bei mir meine beiden Kolleginnen und Kollegen, einerseits die Theresa Weiß, die hier seit vielen, vielen Jahren am Außenwirtschaftscenter Washington das Thema IFIs abgekürzt betreut und die dann auch später durchs Webinar führen wird. Dann habe ich noch bei mir meinen Kollegen Bernhard Bös, der in unserer Zentrale in der Wirtschaftskammer Österreich in Wien für das Thema zuständig ist, und ich würde gleich ganz kurz das Wort an ihn erteilen, dass er sich vielleicht ganz kurz vorstellt.
Ja, danke Irene, einen schönen Nachmittag aus Wien. Wie ich mir heute die Teilnehmerliste angesehen habe, habe ich mich sehr gefreut über das große Interesse an diesem Procurement-Webinar für Einsteiger, weil es ein sehr guter Mix auch ist an Firmen. Einerseits sind es MitarbeiterInnen neue MitarbeiterInnen von bereits IFI erfahrenen Firmen. Andererseits sind es auch viele MitarbeiterInnen von Firmen, die für uns jetzt auch ganz neu in dieses Thema eintauchen wollen. Also von da aus freue ich mich auf ein gutes, produktives, konstruktives Webinar. Ja, zu uns, danke Irene. Wir in Wien in der Zentrale, das Team Netzwerk Projekte international, die Isabel Schmidbauer und ich, sehen uns sozusagen als erste Anlaufstelle, was die internationalen Finanzinstitutionen anlangt. Das heißt, wenn ein österreichisches Unternehmen sich dafür interessiert, dann sind wir immer sehr erfreut, wenn wir mit Ihnen ins Gespräch kommen und Ihnen die ersten Tipps mit auf den Weg geben können. Wie sind wir sonst als Außenwirtschaft aufgestellt? Das Gute ist, wir haben ein weltweites, sehr engmaschig gestricktes Netz an Außenwirtschaftszentren mit überaus motivierten und kompetenten MitarbeiterInnen, mit Wirtschaftsdelegierten und Delegiertinnen, die sie da auch durch die Themen durchführen. Und natürlich haben wir da ganz speziell zwei ACs oder Außenwirtschaftscenter, die sich speziell mit den IFIs beschäftigen, und das sind eben in Washington die Wirtschaftsdelegierte Irene Lack-Hageneder mit der Theresa Weiß, die sich eben um Weltbank, IDB, MCC und die USAID betreuen und dieses Thema auch bis ins Detail und bis in die Tiefe kennen. Und dann natürlich auch die Kollegin Christina Stieber mit ihrem Team in Manila auf den Philippinen, die die Asian Development Bank ja, in allen Details kennt und da auch sehr gut vernetzt ist und da sehr, sehr gut auch den asiatischen Teil abdecken kann. Und wir entwickeln uns ja ständig weiter, dementsprechend auch die wachsende Bedeutung des afrikanischen Kontinents. Wir sind gerade in den Planungen im Aufbau eines Büros in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, um da auch das Thema African Development Bank gut betreuen zu können. Ja, das zu unserem Netzwerk, und ich freue mich auf ein gutes Meeting. Ich gebe wieder zurück an dich, Irene. Danke.
Ja, vielen Dank, Bernhard. Ja, bevor ich dann an die Theresa übergebe und wir dann auch relativ schnell in Medias Res gehen und ins Thema einsteigen, möchte ich Ihnen noch zwei Hinweise mitgeben. Und zwar einerseits, ich weiß nicht, ob Sie kennen, die sogenannte Internationalisierungsoffensive. Es gibt das Programm Go International. Sie sehen jetzt auf dieser Folie oben den Link go-international.at. Das ist ein Förderprogramm, das verschiedene Arten von Förderungen vorsieht. Da werden zum Beispiel die Teilnahme an Veranstaltungen gefördert, aber es gibt eben auch Direktförderungen für Firmen. Es lohnt sich für Sie auf jeden Fall, dass Sie sich, falls Sie das noch nicht kennen, das einmal anschauen, auf die Webseite gehen und sich die unterschiedlichen Förderprogramme anschauen. Und da möchte ich Sie insbesondere auf den Projektgeschäft-Check hinweisen unter den Direktfördermaßnahmen. Ich werde jetzt nicht im Detail die Förderung erklären aus Zeitgründen, weil wir dann wirklich uns ums Weltbank-Procurement kümmern wollen, aber ich will Sie nur darauf hinweisen, wenn Sie eben, wie gesagt, sich bewerben wollen bei einer internationalen Ausschreibung, dann entstehen Ihnen bestimmte Kosten und dann gibt es unter bestimmten Umständen die Möglichkeit, diese Kosten eben zu fördern. Wenn Sie auf die Webseite gehen und sich das Förderprogramm anschauen, finden Sie auf der rechten Seite auch eine Ansprechperson, die ist je nach Bundesland, in dem Sie sind, unterschiedlich und da sehen Sie auch ganz genau, was sind die Bedingungen, was ist die maximale Förderhöhe. Wir haben hier ein paar Punkte auch auf die Folie geschrieben und Sie bekommen natürlich nach dem Webinar auch die Folien zur Verfügung gestellt. Das heißt, Sie können sich das dann ganz in Ruhe anschauen. Wichtig ist mir nur, Sie darauf hinzuweisen, dass es das gibt. Nicht nur den Projektgeschäft-Check, es gibt auch andere Arten von Förderungen, aber jetzt, weil wir uns um dieses IFI-Thema hier heute damit beschäftigen, will ich Sie besonders darauf hinweisen. Noch ein zweiter Hinweis in eigener Sache, auch für Sie hoffentlich sehr interessant. Es ist wieder Exporttagszeit, 20. Juni 2023 in diesem Jahr. Es ist ja jedes Jahr Ende Juni der Exporttag. Falls Sie es noch nicht kennen, es ist wirklich eine sehr lohnenswerte Veranstaltung. Es ist die größte Veranstaltung der österreichischen Export-Community, die wir haben. Gibt es seit vielen, vielen Jahren. Teilnahme ist kostenlos, aber ganz bestimmt nicht umsonst. Es gibt ein wahnsinnig umfangreiches Konferenzprogramm. Alle Wirtschaftsdelegierten aus aller Welt werden nach Österreich, nach Wien kommen und stehen auch für Beratungsgespräche zur Verfügung. Schauen Sie sich das an. Die Webseite ist exporttag.at und melden Sie sich an. Also ich glaube, das lohnt sich auf jeden Fall und ist wirklich eine sehr spannende Veranstaltung. Ja, das dazu. Ich würde jetzt übergeben an die Theresa Weiß, die eine kurze Intro macht und auch dann die Sprecher vorstellt. Ich freue mich auf auf die kommende Stunde und freue mich, dass Sie dabei sind. Bitte, Theresa.
Ja, vielen Dank, Irene. Vielen Dank, Bernhard. Ja, wenn wir von der Weltbank sprechen, von der Weltbankgruppe, handelt es sich um 5 Organisationen. Das wissen viele Leute nicht. Sie sehen sie hier auf der Folie aufgelistet. Wir werden uns heute vor allem um das in dunkelblau oder schwarz hinterlegt, um diese 2 Institutionen kümmern und darüber sprechen. Und das ist das, was man unter Weltbank versteht. Das ist die IBRD, die Internationale Bank für Wiederaufbau und Entwicklung und die IDA, die Internationale Entwicklungsagentur. Das ist, also wenn man Weltbank sagt, das sind diese 2 Organisationen, über die wir sprechen werden und die man sich darunter vorstellt. Und heute geht es eben um Procurement und da gibt es 2, so, bin ich eine Folie zu schnell, 2 Zweige von Procurement, die wir heute vorstellen werden. Einerseits das Corporate Procurement, das ist das, was die Weltbank für sich selber, also für ihre Büros weltweit einkauft, beschafft, sowie auch alle Consulting-Leistungen. Und zweitens gibt es das Operational Procurement, das ist die Unterstützung, die Weltbank unterstützt die Nehmerländer, das heißt die Schwellen- und Entwicklungsländer, die von der Weltbank bei der Beschaffung vom klassischen Projektgeschäft, so wie Sie es kennen, unterstützt werden. Wir haben heute aufgebaut unsere Präsentation in 2 Teile. Wir werden den ersten Teil das Corporate Procurement machen, dann darüber alle Ihre Fragen beantworten und dann übersteigen zum Operational Procurement. Und es gibt natürlich Möglichkeiten, dass Sie Ihre Fragen, Sie haben eine Fragebox, Chatbox, in der Sie Ihre Fragen stellen können und wir werden Sie, wie gesagt, nach dem ersten Teil zum Corporate Procurement die Fragen beantworten und dann nach dem zweiten Teil gibt es noch einmal die Möglichkeit, die Fragen zum Operational Procurement zu stellen. Ich freue mich jetzt, dann unseren ersten Sprecher für Corporate Procurement vorstellen zu können. Wir werden jetzt dann an dieser Stelle in Englisch weitersprechen, weil unsere beiden Weltbanksprecher englischsprachig sind. And I invite Rajiv Barakunsam to join us today. Unfortunately, the camera functions are not working, so we will hear his voice and we will see the slides. And as said before, you will get the slides and there will also be a recording of this presentation today. Rajiv, welcome, very well and seasoned experienced procurement specialist working in the corporate procurement unit at the World Bank, and I will hand over to him.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rajiv, I work with the corporate procurement unit within the World Bank Group. I'll take you through what we do at the World Bank Group in the corporate procurement unit, and I'll also give you the most important things, what are our core values, and then I will open up the forum for questions. So this slide has been repeated, but I wanted to emphasize that the World Bank Group, as the name suggests, is a group of organizations. In this case, we have 5 organizations. The IBRD and IDA are organizations that partner with the government. IBRD works with middle-income countries. The IDA, which is the International Development Association, works with the world's poorest countries. We also work with the private sector. So our IFC is the institution that promotes private sector investments. MIGA is the institution that does guarantees on investments. And then we've got an institution, ICSID, which is for the settlement of disputes that come through our program. We in corporate procurement strongly believe that every dollar we spend is a vehicle for change, is an opportunity for us to push forward the world towards a better place. The way we are structured is that we are based in 3 locations. We have an office in Washington, DC, an office in Sofia, Bulgaria, as well as an office in Chennai in India. Through these offices, we cater to the procurement needs of the institution across the 140 offices that we have all over the world. In a typical year, we work with about $1.5 to $2 billion of spend. The way we go about doing this is we oversee and we conduct all the administrative procurements that the World Bank does. We also support our operational colleagues in hiring consultants such that they can use those expert knowledge to further the World Bank Group's operations, lending programs, advisory programs, and so on. We go to market knowing what our category strategy is, and we recommend to our clients all the information that we collect through the category strategy, and also all the information that is available through the market in terms of the market capacity, the market conditions, the vendors in the marketplace, and so on. We also advise and guide World Bank Group staff on procurement matters. This could be on institutional requirements as well as any other advice that they may need. And for doing all of these things, we use the procurement management system such that there is a process, there is history, and all the information that is needed is documented and is done in a structured manner. The core principles that we follow is we believe that the use of a competitive process wherein every eligible bidder is given a fair and transparent opportunity will bring us best value. And to us, best value goes beyond money. For us, it is also to include sustainability such that we can drive change through all the investments and all the spends that we have, all the dollars that we spend in markets. Within corporate procurement, we have 3 units or 3 groups that do sourcing. The first of which is corporate services and real estate. And as the name suggests, it has construction, it has renovation, facilities management, security, global travel, healthcare, food and conferences, and so on. We then have another team that looks after sourcing all the needs for human resources and professional services. In this case, we procure consulting services, management consulting services, training, payments, auditors and accounting services, the services of an insurance broker, healthcare and compensation benefits for our World Bank Group staff, hiring firms that can help with executive searches, and also having labor and staff augmentation contract. Similarly, we have the third unit, which is responsible for sourcing technology. And in the case of technology, we look at IT computer infrastructure, the telephonic and networks. We look at hardware, business applications, IT softwares, ICT solutions, disruptive technologies, and so on. The spend, as I said, is between $1.5 and $2 billion a year. And here we show the different spend groups, wherein corporate services and real estate is about 29%, followed by professional services, human resources, the technology piece, finance, and other services. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about sustainability. We believe that it is very important that we determine what we buy, who we buy it from, such that we can have the maximum impact on the environment, on the societies that we work in, and also the economic conditions of the communities through which we buy the goods and services. So in the three pillars that we have in the economic and supplier diversity, we look to cultivating communities and groups which have traditionally been underutilized. In the environment, we look at purchasing goods and services, influencing the specifications of it, such that the services and the goods that we buy are environmentally sustainable and would not have a negative impact on the environment. And similarly, on the social benefits, we strive to create a positive impact through the goods and services that we purchase. We work in all the groups wherein all the communities that we work in are benefited. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about women-owned business enterprises as well as minority-owned business enterprises. We have a focus to ensure that we maximize the participation of these institutions. So the way we look at a minority-owned business or a women-owned business is that either a woman has 51% control of the institution, or that a minority group has 51% control of the organization that we are buying from. There are, of course, different countries wherein they classify what minorities are. For instance, the United States has a clear classification, as does Canada, China, United Kingdom, South Africa, and Australia. So we've developed an intense process by which we do this. We've established the policies, processes, procedures, wherein we've institutionalized sustainable procurement to be a core value for every purchases that we make. We've layered it up with technology support. We've incorporated various technologies into our procurement system, wherein we can get to know which organization is available for participating in these organizations, which fills the minority or business or women-owned business enterprises qualification. Similarly, we have partnerships with organizations that can advise us of the vendors that are available in the marketplaces where we are planning to go and buy goods and services. We've tried to do all of these things, and we focus on capacity building and outreach. So we have ongoing training programs wherein our staff understand what is the value that we bring. They understand how to do it. They understand the technology support we have, the industry partnership we have, and so on. And similarly, we do have an external outreach program as well. So oftentimes you would find the World Bank Group holding seminars and workshops in different communities wherein we speak about what our capacity building is, what we do, how do we do it, so that we can encourage women-owned businesses or minority-owned businesses to participate working with us. I'll move on to some targets that we have, and we have in 2017 made a commitment that we will increase and double our spend on women business enterprises. In 2017, we were at about 3%, and we are very close to getting to a 7% by the end of this fiscal year. Similarly, our spend with minority-owned businesses in 2020 was about 4%, and our goal for ourselves is to double that by 2025. We've noticed that even through the pandemic, we were able to bring our supplier diverse program to a point wherein we've been able to get very close to our goals. And more importantly, we've increased the number of entities that we are working with. It's not just how many dollars we are spending with minority-owned businesses or with women-owned businesses, but we find that we've brought in a lot of minority-owned and women-owned businesses into our supply chain, and we are very proud of that accomplishment that we've had. So my ask of you is, if you do qualify as a minority-owned business or a women-owned business, please do register yourself. And as the convener said, that this presentation shall be shared. So go ahead and register yourself as a vendor. If you're a minority-owned business, then do update your certificates, do update your credentials such that we would know. We do work with institutions such as WeConnect and all the other agencies that are listed here, such that we also make an active effort of getting to know who are the vendors who have diversity as a cornerstone of this service offering. I'll move on to the other section of our procurements that we do, which is the support that we lend to our clients in the operations department. And here are the 4 verticals that we support. The first one is EFI, which is Equitable Growth, Finance and Institutions. There are multiple business practices that we work with. We've got the finance, competitiveness and innovation, governance, macroeconomics, trade and investments, poverty and equity. Similarly, we've got the human development, which has gender, education, social protection, health, nutrition, and population. We also have sustainable development, which has agriculture, social sustainability, urban disaster recovery, risk management, and then water and such. We've also have infrastructure. So these are the various groups within the bank group that we support. So if you provide services that would benefit these organizations or these teams, please feel free to register yourself as a vendor and look out for opportunities such that we can benefit from the services that you provide. Here is the link to how you can register yourself as a vendor. And with that, I will move to the kind of services that we buy. So we've got a host of services that we use to support our colleagues in operations. So it could be advisory services, it could be technical assistance, it could be to ask to do some analytical work, something to do with surveys and data collection. At times, we also use it for project approvals, any knowledge product development, any research that needs to happen. Now, my request is that you should know that you do not need to be a registered vendor to work with us. However, it does help for us if we knew you were registered, so that we can also look at our database as we are planning for solicitation. Regardless if the opportunity is advertised, you will get to know about it through our portal, and then you can go ahead and bid for the work. Should you win the work, you will be registered in the system, and then once you're approved, we will be able to award a contract to you. The way our system works is that you get to manage your company's profile. So even after a contract award, or even before a contract award, if you find that things have changed in your institution, you can go ahead and make those updates by yourself, such that the information about your company continues to be up to date in our system. And I'll stop here. I'm sharing with you the contacts that we have. You can reach us at corporate procurement at worldbank.org. We also have our website, which is www.worldbank.org/corporate procurement. And there you can get all the information that I've shared and much more. So with that, I shall stop. And if there are any questions, I would take this opportunity to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rajiv. I now invite all of our participants, our audience, if you have any questions, to type them into the question box. I already have a question myself. You mentioned about registering as a vendor. Are there any criteria you have to be able to do that? Is there I cannot call it a benefit, but at what stage should you register, and what are the main criteria to become a vendor of the World Bank Group?
So we have kept the bar at the bare minimum. So there are no extreme criteria to become a World Bank Group member. As long as you're a registered organization in your jurisdiction and you have the license to operate and the certificates needed, you can upload those on our website. And it's a very convenient self-use way of doing it. The huge advantage of registering as a vendor is it helps us know when we are buying something or planning to buy something of who the organizations are, who the vendors are in that marketplace that we can reach out to. And if you were to then go ahead and click on the alerts, you would get to know the alerts. And for us, the advantage is we can plan ourselves to know how should we craft the RFP or the solicitation document such that we can maximize the talent that's available in the markets that we are trying to source. Thank you.
Another question that has come up now, the World Bank has an office in Vienna, and since we're talking to an Austrian audience, is there any procurement for the World Bank office in Vienna where it would be an advantage to be a local Austrian company? Is there like, or for other offices, but specifically now, are there some procurement items you could think of that you usually procure locally for the office?
So the Vienna office is an important office for us. They do have needs for their offices, but those needs are limited to things like having a facilities management services or to have transportation, logistics services, and so on. They might be involved, they might have procurement experts who are supporting countries in Europe and Central Asia, and they could be working on programs in those countries, which are then World Bank Group lending programs. So my request would be continue to monitor the opportunities that are available. If there are opportunities for the administrative side, as I said, facilities management, transportation, travel, so on and so forth, those will be advertised, and you'll get to know about it. And if there are opportunities in the operations side, then those two can be seen there. Thank you.
Thank you. You used to have, you recently switched to a new online platform for opportunities. Are there some main, and some people online today might already know about that or seen it online because they were registered with the eConsult website, and now it's the new platform. Are there any main difference you want to highlight about the new platform in comparison to the old one?
So the new platform is more user-friendly. It is a platform that allows us to do a lot more due diligence such that we can make sure all the procurements that happen are done in a sequential manner, and that there are clarity of roles and there's no dilution of responsibility as the procurement happens. So that is in effect, one of the major reasons why we've moved to a new system wherein we can have a more robust control over it. We can have ease of operation and also be in an environment wherein our vendors who participate have that advantage of being assured that whatever submissions they are making is being reviewed and done in a manner which is consistent with what they would expect of us. The old system was reaching a point wherein we would not be able to maintain it. The technology behind it was old, so we needed to move on to something which was more long-term while also enhancing the security around it. Thank you.
Thank you. And to our audience, if you're just, switched over to the new platform and you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to us, and then we can discuss with Rajiv and his colleagues, because I'm sure they also look for improvements, because they want to get successful bids. And talking about successful bids, one last question that came in. Do you have some good advice? Sometimes the deadline to hand in your bid is very short for example, technical consultancies or consultancy work. What would you advise companies out there to, some key elements to be prepared, so that you can quickly hand in your bid?
Good question. My first request would be to register yourself for the alerts that could come through from opportunities that are posted. That way you'll get to know about them at the earliest. Once you have that, pay attention and go directly to the terms of reference or the statement of work that's part of the tender package. Look at how you would be able to provide a solution to as a response, which would be better than what competition might provide, and respond to the tender package with what is being asked, such that the reviewers can compare your response to what they had asked and can see the benefits that you bring and the unique solutions that you'll be able to bring. So it all starts with being plugged in to see the opportunities that are advertised, and then going straight into the terms of reference, understanding it very well, and preparing your response to that effect. I would also like to state that we pay a lot of attention to how long we are giving vendors to submit their proposals. We have to balance that with the time that we have to move the project forward. And so at times it might seem that the time is inadequate, but be assured that it's not something that a particular person decides and it's done. This is discussed and deliberated a lot, because we do, as procurement professionals, advise our clients on the time that vendors will need, because we do understand that all the bids that come in are bids that are thoroughly reviewed, prepared, submitted. You look at your prices very carefully and so on and so forth. So we have a lot of conversations. Some are not very convenient conversations to say we need to give vendors more time if we want a quality output. So I wanted to leave you with that assurance that we don't just accept whatever date our task team leaders ask us to put in. We advise them and sometimes push back to say that if a good response is required, then we need to give the adequate amount of time. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Rajiv. There's no more questions currently in. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today and present everything about corporate procurement, and also give us your advice. And with that, we will now move over to the next part of our presentation. And I will invite Alexandra Borges de Oliveira, who also, just as Rajiv, has lots of experience, not in corporate procurement, but in operational procurement. And while I'm introducing him and welcoming him, he will actually share his screen, because he will continue to show the operational procurement presentation from his screen. And as soon as you're ready, Alex, please start with your presentation, and thank you for being here today with us.
Thank you very much for having me. I just shared my screens. Could you guys confirm that you can see it?
Yes, we can see it.
That's great. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here with you. It's a pleasure. I'm going to talk about operations procurement. Our colleague Rajiv already talked about corporate procurement. In operations procurement, we are talking about contracts that the World Bank finance on our loans to governments across the world, over 140 countries. There are three types of lending instruments that we have in the World Bank, one being the IPF, or investment project financing. That's about 60% of the value of the lending that the World Bank does, and that requires borrowers to follow rules and procedures for procurement set in the loan agreement, and which is prepared by us here in the World Bank and approved by our board of directors. Then we have the DPF, which is another lending instrument, development policy financing. For that, we don't have specific procurement rules, because it's a sort of operation designed to provide budgetary support. And then we have the P4R program for results, which is a smaller share of our lending that pays borrowers according to results achieved. All my presentation will be about IPF, the investment project financing. Like I said, it's about 60% of the value. On the past 10 years, the average awarded value on procurement for these IPF operations have been $15 billion each year. And of that, about 60% of the value correspond to construction works. About 15% of the value is consulting services, and around 20% are goods. And the remaining 4 to 5% will be for non-consulting services. So this is a kind of the distribution. One interesting development that we are spearheading here in the World Banking operations procurement is the use of rated criteria. The rated criteria is basically requesting, mandating our borrowers to use non-price factors on all international competition starting September this year. So all borrowers will be required to not only use price as an evaluation criterion, but also something else that has to do with the quality, sustainability, social impact of the bids that they receive. This will be required for all international approach contract, which is our largest contracts.
Alexander, may I interrupt for one section? We still only see your desktop. I don't know if that's on purpose, but
yes, that's on purpose.
That's on purpose. Perfect. Just wanted to make sure.
As soon as I finish my just initial remarks, and I'm going to share this with you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. We also work very hard to make the World Bank the best place to do business in the development world, and that's one of the reasons why we are advancing this rated criteria, mandatory use of non-price factors. We also have perhaps the best setup in the world for complaint handling mechanisms. We have a standstill period that borrowers are required to observe after they propose awarding a contract, and that decision, the contract cannot be signed until that standstill period is completed. That allows all the suppliers, consultants, and construction contractors to challenge the decision and make their views expressed if necessary. we have two instances of the briefing, one being directly with the borrower. If you're not satisfied with the explanation, then we can raise it to the World Bank, and we can also have a second debriefing. All bidding opportunities and contract awards are published regardless of the value and the procurement method. All of them are published in our website, and you can easily access them. I'm going to show it online in a minute. But let me now start with what you see on the screen. This data is as current as of today. So currently we have about $79 billion of procurement processes or procurement activities that have been already approved in procurement plans submitted by our borrowers and that are ready to be launched or has just been launched. This represents almost 120,000 procurement activities in 147 countries. Like I said in the beginning, you see here the distribution of these procurement activities. They kind of follow the historical trend, which is about 60% of the value going for construction works, 21% for goods, 15% for services, consultant services, and about 4% for non-consulting services. It's interesting to see that in terms of value, works dominate by far with 60%, but in terms of volume, you will see that not so much. We only have about 19,000 procurement activities in construction works. If I look at consultant services, you'll see that I have a lot more, over 55,000 procurement activities. This is because construction works, even though they are in a smaller number, they are usually much larger in terms of value. The distribution of our activities is mostly in Africa, as you can see here. Almost half of the value that is approved on plans, with over 32 billion, almost 33 billion. If I click here on Africa, you will be able to see that most of these activities in terms of value will be in Nigeria, Ethiopia, the DRC, Mozambique, also Cote d'Ivoire. These are the countries with the largest values to be awarded. Here at the bottom, I'll have a list of all these opportunities. The largest one being in Mali, a $608 million contract for it's in the agricultural sector. We have another opportunity in Cameroon for $357 million, and this is for the supply of goods. This second to Africa will be South Asia, with our largest borrower, which is India. That's why it's dark brown here, with $15 billion, and almost $10 billion in Latin America, 7.6 billion in Europe and Central Asia. I can click here, which is your area. Our largest borrower in the region, understandably, is Turkey and Kazakhstan. We have lots of operations in Ukraine, but they tend to be operations that do not require, they are budgetary support operations in many cases, but we do have a lot of operations there too. Another thing I would like to show you is this distribution by status. We have about $40 billion that haven't started yet of the 79. So this will be coming soon. I can click here and you will see that these are the activities that will be posted in our website sometime soon, including the largest contract being this construction works here in Egypt in the water sector. We have 38 billion of activities that already started, meaning that they are in different stages of implementation. Some may be awaiting bids, others may have already received bids and are in the process of evaluating. One thing that I found interesting to share with you is this profile of our procurement. We're talking about billions here, but when you see the distribution by size, if I choose construction works only, you will see that most of our construction activities fall in the range between below $50 million. As you can see here, in terms of value, in terms of volume, sorry, we only 0.8% of the activities we finance, which is 147, are over $50 million, which is the type of contracts that is more likely to attract international contractors. So the large share, more than 99% of the volume of construction works financed by the bank are below $50 million. So just you understand that, you know, these contracts tend to be small and medium size for economies like, you know, European economies or USA economies, just so you understand this part of the equation too. Most of our contracts are in the area of infrastructure, like understandably, then engineering, roads, consulting services, especially project management, public utilities, and then we have agriculture and weather. I'm sorry, climate-related contracts. So this is a sort of overview of the opportunities that we have approved in procurement plans today. You can view all these opportunities if we go to our website, which you can, if we land here on worldbank.org, this is the landing page. Then we go to what we do. If we click on projects, then you can tick the search procurement only box. You don't need to type anything, you just hit enter, and here you go. You will see all the opportunities will be here. There are 3 tabs that I would like to talk to you about. The first one being notices. There are several types of notices: contract award notice, invitation for bids, request for expression of interest. This is for consultants. General procurement notice. You can filter them and see just the one that you're interested. We also have all contracts published here, and also all procurement plans have to be published, and they are available here at this tab, plans. Let me show you another interesting web page, which is procurement for projects and programs. If you click here, then you can sign up for alerts. So you click on the subscribe for alerts, and then you can register here. Every time that there is an opportunity on your specific market, you're gonna receive an email alert, and then you can come in and decide if you wanna submit a bid or express your interest. You just have to sign up on this website. It's right here, subscribe for alerts. Another one I would like to show to you is the procurement complaints. If you need to complain, we have a detailed guide step by step that you can download here from this website. Here's the guidance note. We have another way to find the notice that I just showed to you is clicking here on search notices. You won't have the 3 tabs here with the awards and plans, but you will see all the procurement notices here. And then if you want to see just I'm a contractor bidding for works, you can come here, search invitation for bids, and I'm interested just in works. And then you can see all the current opportunities available at this website. In addition to that, I would like to wrap up showing just a couple of slides about our procurement data. Is specific to Austria. First, let me start with the awarded value by our borrowers in the past 5 fiscal years, which was almost 74 billion, which brings me to that average, which I told you about $15 billion a year, about on average on the past 10 years. For the past 5 fiscal years, it will be around that, for like 14-point-something billion per year. Most of the award value comes from India, our largest borrower, followed by Bangladesh, China, Vietnam, my country, Pakistan, Turkey, Argentina, Nigeria, and regional projects in Western Africa. Awarded value by supplier, the largest country on awarded value is China. China has 12 billion in this 5 years. They are very active in construction works, and also small value and medium value contracts for construction works, which is typically only local companies bid, but the Chinese do show up on many of those too, and that explains their largest number. India has about $10 billion of awarded value, UN agencies 3.6 billion, Turkey, and then Vietnam, Brazil, Bangladesh, and then here we have Austria in 87th place with $130 million. Let me show you a little bit more detail about that. Austrian companies, when they bid for a World Bank finance contract in the past 5 fiscal years, they were awarded the contract 43% of the time, with a larger success rate in consultants with more than 1 in 2 contracts, and a little lower success rate in construction works and goods. The success rate fluctuated a lot over the years, but one thing that is interesting is to see is that Austrian companies don't bid a lot for World Bank contracts. As you can see here, if I add all this up, will be 75, 89. We received 90 bids from Austrian companies in the past 5 years, and more than half of that went just for consultants. And then for construction works, which is the larger value, we only had 14 bids in 5 years. So it's less than 3 bids on average per year from Austrian companies. But on consultants, Austrian companies are more active, and when they do bid, they're getting a success rate of more than 50%. Despite not bidding a lot for construction work, almost 71% of the awarded value to Austrian companies came from construction. Consultants were 13%. And I think that the largest consulting companies that the largest awards to consulting companies from Austria was on the water sector in this period. This is where the awards came from for Austrian companies in the period. Large majority from Tajikistan, then Croatia, Ukraine, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Georgia, Belarus, San Martin, and then some African countries. And this perhaps an opportunity to show you again that, you know, as I showed, most of our opportunities are now in Africa and South Asia in terms of value, and then Latin America. So this is what I had. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to stop here and happy to take any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. Super interesting to have all these interactive features. I think visual data always helps a lot with understanding. Please, if you have questions, you can type them in the box now. What you showed is, and something we hear a lot, and I think it was kind of represented in your interactive presentation, is Austria, as you might know now that you've prepared today for the presentation, is a country of small and medium-sized companies, like many countries I think in Europe are. And so what we often hear is that we don't bid on World Bank contracts because that's only for the big companies, and we don't have any chance. Can you comment on this from what you see from your side at the World Bank? Is this true? Is there only something for big companies, or are there opportunities for small and medium-sized companies as well?
Well, I'll start with it as an economist and someone who works with data on a daily basis. I will start with the data, right? I just showed to you that the majority of our contracts, even for construction works, are actually below $50 million. These are considered small value or medium value contracts by the largest economies. To give you an example, my wife works on a medium-sized company here in the US as an executive, and she's right now building a library for $35 million. We have in the list that I just showed to you construction of a geothermal plant in Dominica for $31 million. So there is this displacement caused by large infrastructure and investments at home on the larger economies that displace companies from taking the risk of bidding for much more complex construction works financed by the World Bank in countries in which the operating environment may be considered riskier by these companies. So that displacement, I think, explains, in my assessment, a lot of the low turnout from companies, small and medium companies from larger economies. But we do have opportunities. The opportunities are all published in the website, like I said. We are required to advertise internationally. The World Bank has an open participation policy, so companies from any country can bid. It's just, I think, a market-driven thing. We are working very hard to try to bring smaller and medium-sized contractors from Europe and the US to participate in our procurement. If folks in this meeting have any suggestion for us, any ideas on how we could make that more effective, we are happy to listen to those and take those into account. This is something that will be very important for us. The use of rated criteria, like I mentioned, non-price factors, will apply to all construction works too. So we believe that this might give an additional incentive and motivation to these smaller and medium-sized contractors that are of a very good, have to comply with very strict requirements at home. Maybe they will be more inclined to bid on World Bank finance contracts when rated criteria is required, and it will be for all international approach companies. So we hope that this will perhaps, help mitigate or at least minimize the impact of all this displacement from local investments at home for lower risk and higher value contracts. And maybe we can bring some Austrian companies, which we would love to have them bidding for our contracts. So that is sort of my assessment. But happy to hear any feedback, any ideas. This is something we take very seriously, and any feedback will be taken into account. I can guarantee that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And just as I asked your colleague Rajiv earlier, and to wrap up this session, because we're at the end of the session, just some words of wisdom, some advice you give companies as they prepare bids. What do you suggest for them? What should they do? Just three to five main key messages you want to give them before we wrap up.
Well, first of all, I would register in our website for this email alert so that you don't have to search for it and you receive an email every time that there's something in your business that might interest you. That's what I would start with. The second is, depending on your market, if it's consulting or construction, we do have standard terms and conditions for all international approach competition. So it will be the same for every single procurement that is financed by us, with, of course, the customization that is specific to each contract. But if you understand the general conditions, terms and conditions, then you will be already way ahead in understanding what you need to do to participate in any contract financed by the bank. So I would start by, reviewing those, familiarizing yourself with them. It doesn't take a lot. These are all our contract conditions for works, for instance, comes from FIDIC. So it's not a big investment, but once you understand that, you are less likely to make mistakes in these clerical mistakes in preparing bids. that may result in rejection. We don't like that in the World Bank. We try to do everything to avoid those, but they still happen. But I would start there with this registration for getting alerts. Secondly, familiarizing with the standard procurement documents so you know the terms and conditions and be ready to participate whenever you identify an opportunity that suits your company.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. As I said, we're come at the end of our session today. Thank you, Alex, and also thank you again, Rajiv, if you're still online, for joining us today and making this presentation available for Austrian companies. We do hope that we will get and see more Austrian companies and consultants bid on opportunities in the future. If you, audience, have any questions after the webinar, please reach out to us. We're here for you, and we're happy to assist you and to support you with all your questions and work with the World Bank Group. And all I have to say now is thank you, Dankeschön fürs Dabeisein und auf Wiedersehen aus Washington.